And a moment in time?
Moment in time this week. Donald Campbell, a man who pushed man and machine to its limits and beyond.
When it comes to speed, the name Campbell is celebrated on both land and water. First, Sir Malcolm, then his son Donald, who, between them, set 10 land and 11 water speed records. While their speed has been surpassed, Donald Campbell still holds the title as the only person to set both land and water speed records in the same year, and the venue for the achievement, Australia. So when Bob from Falcon asked what enticed Campbell down under for these historic attempts, we called on Australia's own speed demon, Rosco McGlashan, for the answer.
Donald Campbell was, had the car, built the car, and had a boat. So what a perfect plan to bring both vehicles together in the same year and set a record. So Australia was chosen. The car and the boat were shipped over here, and a record breaker's dream. To set a land speed record, you need some serious real estate. You need around 20 kilometres of track. The government surveyors were contracted to find him a salt lake.
With not a drop of rain for 20 years, the salt pans of Lake Eyre provided a surface as hard as concrete. But as Campbell and his crew arrived in March of 1963, light rain began to fall.
Mr. Campbell, what is the position at the moment regards the speed trial?
63, light rain began to fall.
Mr. Campbell, what is the position at the moment regards the speed trial?
Well, on land, as you know, we've been brought to a full stop by rain and floods, and Lake Eyre is now, of course, underwater completely.
The attempt was off.
And if you don't find another alternative in Australia, will you try this for this record somewhere else?
I think not, but it's far too early to say that with any emphasis. It's much more likely that we will leave the machine here, assuming, of course, that we're still welcome, and come back in a year's time.
And that's just what they did. By 1964, it was all on again.
Donald Campbell's Bluebird was a very, very impressive car, had the big air intake at the front of it, extremely high wheels. The wheels were 5 feet in diameter.
With the track prepared, it was down to the business of breaking records. This required patience.
To get the right day to run a record is very, very tough. If the winds, you only need a certain amount of wind. Sometimes the wind blowing from different directions is a hassle. There's all sort of different scenarios that can hamper your attempt.
Yesterday we were cutting ruts which were up to 2 inches deep, and we were down to the water table. And this is like trying to drive a car with the brake on. We should have had that record yesterday, but for that track.
He snuck the record up and up and up, and then, till in July of '64, he ended up running his 403 mile an hour, or 647 kilometres.
Donald, you've just set a new world record. How do you feel? Well, my admiration for this car, my old and dear chum Leo Villa and Ken Norris, and all the boys, my admiration for them and this machine is unbounded. That the vehicle was able to perform in these appalling track conditions, which you've seen, is to me a matter of absolute amazement. This track is now completely unusable. On that last run back, it was absolutely neck or nothing.
Donald Campbell now fixed his gaze on the water speed record. After several false starts, his crew set up camp at Lake Dumbleyung, southeast of Perth, and waited for the right moment. It was now December the 22nd.
Frustration of this game, you sit by these confounded lakes for hours and days and weeks and get nothing. And then when it looks impossible, suddenly that finger of fate will come and turn a rough lake into a mill pond.
December 31st, 1964, and with the new year only hours away, Campbell had a final go at achieving the dual record.
I think we're speaking now to two of the most excited people in the world, Donald Campbell and his wife Tonya. How are you, Donald? How do you feel now?
very relieved. We've been terribly lucky here at Dumble Young as we were at Lake Erie. Had we another quarter of an hour, we would have missed it. We just had those few minutes and we were able to take advantage of them.
Well, I feel sure that you'll have something to say to all your team here at Lake Dumble too, on the lakeside.
Well, my word, we've already had something to say to them over the radio, and well, this is the first time that any one team has taken these two records in the same year, and we're jolly grateful that it's been us, and frightfully glad that we've been able to do it here in Australia.
Sadly, 3 years later, Donald Campbell died trying to break his own world water speed record. Interestingly, WA's Rosco McGlashan is still aspiring to break the world land speed record, looking at something like 1,000 miles an hour. It's a dream.
He has spent half his life in that soft plane out there.
He has. Well, and it's so determined by little quirks of weather and breeze.
Yeah.
A lonely life on the salt plane, I reckon.